Hey everyone, it's me Jamerson, welcome back to another video, and if you haven't been following me on my Twitch and my YouTube channel where I've been streaming, I finally beat Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. One of the games I've been looking forward to the most this year, so like these past few days after I've beaten the game, I've been trying to wrap my head around the whole thing and trying to get a good understanding of like how I feel about it, but now I'm ready to talk about the game. If you like seeing or like my reviews of games, please feel free to like the video and subscribe. It really does help out. But yeah, let's get right to it. So one of Rebirth's, biggest things that they try to focus on in this game, other than it being like bigger and better than the remake, is Cloud's relationship with the other party members of Final Fantasy VII. And this idea is, you can see the evidence of this throughout like the game and like the story, the combat, and even through like the open world. The combat in Rebirth is very similar to FF7 Remake, where you control a party of 3 and you can switch between the characters. So each character have like different abilities and skills, traits, and limit breaks and stuff like that you can use. But there is an improvement upon it, which is called the synergy system. I think that's what this is called. But with the synergy system, you have access to synergy abilities and synergy skills. Synergy abilities are basically like team up limit breaks that you confirm with other party members, and they're like basically devastating attacks, and that gives you status effects like extra ATB gauge or unlimited mana, or increase the level of your limit break to allow you, the regular character, to perform like a different limit break attack. I found myself using these abilities a lot. I found they're like really handy and they come in clutch at times. The other synergy part of the synergy system is synergy skills. They're like little actions. They're special like little actions that you confirm with other team members. Like they can, act like as a bodyguard, or like you can extend combos like with Tifa. I don't really use those a whole bunch. I think that would be really handy for people who like to experiment with the combat in the games, like Sunny and stuff like that. But I do remember using that one time with Tifa. I think Tifa is like a pretty good example of like the synergy skills, and I'll show you like a clip of that in the video now. Combo god. And as you progress the game and you do missions and side quests and interact with like the party members and do missions specialized, like that's for those party characters, you increase like the synergy abilities, be able to like increase your party level, which will like increase your foil levels to get you access to more synergy skills and synergy abilities, even limit breaks as well. So that's where like the whole relationship with Cloud is like really important for like the combat. But other than that, the combat, like I said earlier, is very similar to FF7 Remake. They have made improvements where like you can tackle enemies from like in the air, because like Cloud has like projectiles and other characters have projectiles as well. There are moments in the game that I don't really like as kind of a con for me, where like you are fighting one-on-one with like enemies. There's a one particular part that I don't want to spoil, but if you see me stream, you'll know what part it is, and it was a very stressful section of the game that I hated. And I think this type of game is best when you are working with other people, you working on a team, and those gameplay moments where you are playing as just a single character and you're fighting multiple enemies, it sucks and it's terrible. Like honestly, it's terrible. But regardless of these moments, they were few far in between. Most of the time you are playing with other party characters, and I did have fun experimenting, because I don't do like a lot of experimenting, but I did experiment with like the characters. I feel like as I progressed in the story of the game, got near the end, I felt like I had a pretty good understanding of how the battle would like flow, and I think it was really fun as I got into it. There were times where I felt like there'd be some bullshitting stuff like that, but I think it's like I play on the dynamic difficulty, and my controller is not the best. I need to get a new controller because the left stick is like drifting a bit on it, but I was having fun with the combat, and there were moments where like I was just hype as fuck because they were just cool in the combat. So the combat is pretty good, and the synergy system makes it even better. So I hope they will improve upon it, and I just wish that they don't do the whole gameplay sections where you're just playing as one party character, because those suck, and I don't think this type of game works with that. So either improve upon it where like you can make it where like your one character can like handle like a fight on his own, or don't add them anyways altogether. So the open world was one of the things I was most concerned about when I first heard about it for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because as a older gamer, I just don't have the time for like open world games. But because it is a Final Fantasy VII game, I gave it a try to see how it is, because I believe that the director said he's a fan of the Horizon Zero Dawn open world. And from what I remember playing the open world Horizon Zero Dawn, I had a fun time. I know when it was a thing open world, I did have fun playing like Far Cry and stuff like that. But I was just concerned that it was just going to be like an empty, wasteland, or like empty field where like it's like really nothing to do. But like I said earlier, this game really hones in with like strengthening Cloud's relationship with the other party members. So the things that you do in this game matters. They kind of like work together to like improve like your combat, and like I enjoyed the combat. So you can do a variety of things, and like because there's multiple zones, like about 6 zones, and there's multiple things you can do in each zone that are very similar but are introduced in different ways. So like there's Queen's Blood, which is like a card game, which is like really fun. I really do enjoy the card game. There's like the special side quest where like you're fighting this character called Gilgamesh. I've never completed it, and I'll explain why later, why I wasn't able to complete that. You can get some chocobos. There's chocobos in each zones that you use to traverse in the game. I'll talk about the traverse in a minute. There's tons of things you can do in it that will, and there's also special like missions for like characters that improve your relationships with them, especially if you like you say the right stuff and things like that. But there's tons of things you could do in each zones, and the zones, they look kind of gorgeous. Like some zones I favor over others, and I think because of like the lighting, because like almost all of the zones are like midday, and the only zones that I really love looking at, actually I'm not even gonna spoil it, so like it's not gonna spoil anything for you guys, but there's like one, maybe 2 zones that I found visually great. I think the other zones could have been better if they were lit better in that area. And then the traversal, is okay. You can use chocobos to travel about the zones, and with the chocobos, each zone has like a chocobo that has a special ability. So there's a chocobo that can climb, there's a chocobo that can use like these mushrooms to leap across things. There's other forms of transportation that I won't spoil because like some of them are kind of like spoilery, but it is different ways to traverse throughout the world. I do wish that one pet peeve I had is like the fast travel. I hated that like if I wanted to go to like a different zone, I had to fast travel to like the edge of a zone, and then cross that zone, and then fast travel to another spot. If that, I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. But this is just a pet peeve. It's not really that big of a difference. But yeah, the other gripe I had with the traversal is that whenever especially with the chocobos, when I'm just running around, like it just feels like I'm just driving on like a road filled with potholes. So I do wish that it could have been a little bit smoother. But all in all, the open world is like, it's decent. It's nothing like too crazy. I did have fun with it, but it doesn't do anything that that's like too mind blowing. But I do find myself like there are things that I really do enjoy playing. So it's definitely worth it doing the open world, because not only you have fun with the some of the missions are fun, but it also helps out with you in the combat, increases your party level, which would then increase like how many abilities that you can use during combat, which is great. And plus also the missions that you do helps out with like a special romancing thing that happens like later on in the story for like some characters, where you can go on a date with them. I will have to say, and this is not like really a negative towards like the game, I feel like it was more my fault, but by the time I got near the end of the game, I felt fatigue of the open world, and I think which I had a feeling of like I wanted to like beat everything, and I just wanted to like give it over with after a while, but I don't think I was like pacing myself well. So it's not like a negative against the game, and I guess it's more rewarding for anybody that watches this video and interested in getting the game to pace yourself, because you will feel the fatigue, and then by the time you get to the end, you will not want to do, because I haven't really finished all the zones. Like I visited everyone, but I haven't really completed them. I haven't really, because I kind of like the first 3 or 4 zones I've 100% them, but after a while I just got tired of it, and I just wanted to get on with the story. But I don't think that's really a negative towards the game. I think that's more like my fault. So just a word to the wise, pace yourself with the open world, because there's a lot of stuff to do. There's a lot of content, like mini games and stuff like that. So pace yourself and take your time, enjoy the game. Try other games out as you're playing this game, so you're not getting overwhelmed by everything. So my opinion of the Rebirth story, it might appear negative to some people. I don't really think it's negative, because I think the story is like pretty good. It's not bad or anything like that, but I definitely was expecting more out of it. Like expecting more changes of the original story. I get, if that makes sense. Like Seth Roth messing with like the timeline, and he just making things go his way and things like that. And I guess in a way he does do that to like a certain character, but it doesn't really feel like it, in my opinion. I really felt like certain characters that I thought would be more impactful or had more involvement didn't really have involvement. You just see them every now and then, and at a certain point you didn't see them for like hours, which is like honestly crazy until like the end of the game. I think it's like the way that the game introduces like concepts, it really doesn't do it until the end of the game. And for some, that might be like a bit jarring, and like it takes them some time to understand what happens. So I think in the next game, hopefully they introduce these concepts like throughout the game, so like when it actually shows up near the end, we're like, oh my god, that makes sense, like all this stuff that's happening, that makes sense, like what's happened, what they're trying to do, what Seth was trying to do or whatever. But I don't think this game does a great job of like introducing, like putting breadcrumbs of like what the overall plot of the game is supposed to be near the end. Yeah, but regardless of that, I think the interactions with the characters are great. Tifa is like a really, like they were Tifa, Barrett, they really shine in this game. Like shows like a lot of like emotion, especially towards like Cloud. I think Bear had like a great storyline about like his background. I think is pretty cool. Aerith is it's always great. Aerith is Aerith. Yuffie is a great addition. I found her like very fun character. Yeah, I think like the beginning of the game is like really great. And then like as like time goes on, feels like it kind of like dragged in the middle. And then once you get to a certain part, that's when like the story really starts to ramp up. But I think there are moments where I feel like this could have been done differently. This is just a moment to where this is just padding the game. But overall, regardless of like all that's I know it may seem like negative. I have stuff to say negative about like the story, but it is a decent, pretty good story for like the remake. But in my opinion, I feel like it could have been done better. But that's what I hope for. Then, and this is definitely like a setup of like the final in the remake trilogy project. And so that the part 3 is really gonna have to like it's really gonna have to like bring it in. Like they're really gonna have to like pull out all the stops, like do everything to like wow people, because I don't want this to fizzle out. I really like Final Fantasy VII. I like Sephiroth. I like Cloud. I like the party members, especially after this game. Knowing like their backgrounds, I think they're pretty cool characters. But yeah, part 3 is gonna definitely have to bring it, like come in guns blazing from beginning to end. So, just to recap, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they do a lot of things that improve upon the original game, like the synergy system, which is very refreshing and very creative, and I can see like a lot of experimenting going on with that, especially for those combo junkies. The open world is pretty decent too. There's a lot of activities that you can do in it, but I would definitely say pace yourself if you try to like rush yourself doing it, because you can feel the burnout for it. But the missions that you do, the open world activities, they are related to like they do help you out with other things, like your relationships with your characters, and like with getting you abilities when you're fighting in combat. And I also think the story, even though it's a pretty good story, I think is the weakest part about the game. And I do hope in the third part they will do like a better job of like introducing the plot, and like there's more interactions with like certain characters that are quote and unquote dead. But yeah, overall, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is a really good game. There's a lot of content that you can like get in the game, and I could definitely this game took me over almost like a month, pretty much a month to beat. So there's a lot of content. So this game is definitely worth getting. So if you got the money, you got the time. If you're a huge Final Fantasy VII fan, I would definitely say get it, because this is for you. There's a lot of stuff here for like the fans of like the original or the whole FF7 series. If you're a newcomer, I definitely say give it a try as well. It's definitely worth it, but definitely like take your time with it being open world. And but thank you guys so much for watching. If you like these reviews, like the video, subscribe for more stuff, because I stream, post my videos, my highlights from the streams, and then try to make my own creative stuff here and whatnot. And thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helped you out with your decision to get the game, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.